Hey everybody, welcome to this fourth part. We're going to continue on where we left off from the previous parts. So we're trying to model our crest we have here, and so far we made the shield, made the book, made the ornaments, and we made the wheat strands over here. What we're going to do here in this video is make this turning scroll. So I'm going to select everything we've made so far. I'm going to hide it. So hide selection. And right off the bat, I want to show you guys the way that I use when I have to model something like this. Now, I've seen multiple ways of doing something like this, many of which are valid ways, but I find the way that I do it the easiest way. The majority of the people I've seen him do it is they make one polygon and they start dragging it outwards in a line to get this kind of shape. The way I do it though is just a bit more different. So what I would do is I would take a line and let's turn off edit in viewport and renderer. I take a line and I drag it out on the base here, something like this. So on here, and about to the center of here. So with a line like this, now what I do here is I'm going to rotate this for 90 degrees. So if you look at it now, it's actually just one line. What this gives me is the chance that I can select now all of these vertices that I actually made and just drag them back into position. So select that one, select that one as well, go down, get that one there. This. And this is the next one. So as you can see here, I'm just choosing the one that comes afterwards, and here I'm just giving it the height for it. There we go, like this again. So I'm just trying to get it so it's on the bottom. There you go, something like this. So once I have this, I hold down Shift and I just click and drag it up outwards. Now with this line though, the second one, I want to make sure that I can get it to follow the top part. But before I do this though, I'm gonna make sure that the bottom one that I have is following this line really closely. So I'm gonna select all of these vertices, right click and Bezier corner. This is going to allow me, with the help of these handles or these green lines, simply make this line follow the actual shape of this scroll. There we go. Again, it's kind of a boring, tedious job when you're moving something like this without listening to music. So my advice to you is, if you're going to be doing something like this, get yourself some music. I would put some in the video as well, but I think that the way YouTube works, they're going to block it or some silly stuff, some silly thing like that. All right, so now once I have this line, I'm going to hold down Shift, drag it upwards, and click OK. And now just get these vertices to follow the top part. Now, the thing here is that I'm going to have to do some guesstimation as to where this thing is supposed to be, but it's not going to be really a big problem. There we go. Guessing, not so hard thing to do. Okay. So with these two lines, now I'm going to go ahead and attach both of them together. The great thing about it is that since we made a copy of one, we copied the first one to the second one, that means that vertices are basically at the same spot, right? The same place. So that means that now once I go refine, click, do not show this message again and connect, I can click and connect them like this. So again, refine, click. It really helps if you have a shortcut set up for this. I had mine. I kind of restarted actually reinstalled my Macs. I haven't set one up again, but in this case it really doesn't matter. It's only a few of these vertices. So just make sure that when you're connecting the opposite ones. So what we're actually building with a way of modeling like this, we're actually building a cage. And you're going to see in a second, as soon as I'm done with this, how that cage is going to look like. Just get it so it's connected like this. Refine, connect, refine, connect. Okay, so if you take a look at it in 3D, it looks something like this. Kind of wonky if you ask me. But the great thing about this is once you have a cage, you can go from the modifier list and you can choose a modifier called surface. So just go down until you find the surface modifier. Once you do it, and actually you find it, it's going to make surface out of all of those vertices and all of those lines that we made. We can ramp down the topology because we really don't need it to have so many steps. And now I'm going to put an edit poly on top of it. So now I can move this like regular geometry. Let me just try and get this more to sync up to what we have here. Now, don't worry that we have so much like space missing here. We can go ahead and let me go and convert this to an editable poly or not. Okay, so I'm going to have to add a few more edges and get them to follow this line. Now I can do it with the connect and then move it into position, or there's another way you can do this, is if you open the full ribbon and you have here an option called flow connect. So all you have to do is select two edges, click flow connect. It's going to give you a connection between those two that is not going to screw up your flow. So flow connect again, select those two, flow connect. I'm going to go ahead and try to do it to all of these edges with the flow connect again. Flow connect, flow connect. I probably want to move this a bit on the Y, so it's really not so close to each other. Yeah, that should work. Again, flow connect. As you can see, working with the graphite modeling tools is a great workflow, as it can really speed up your modeling process. So flow connect, and one more here for flow connect. So this should give us that look that we have here. Now, from what I can see, think that these pieces should probably be something more closer to this. So minor adjustments, just so we get this to follow closer to what we have here. All right, so one more flow connect here. In this case though, just might need to move it manually. And once we have this, now all I have to do is drop in a shell modifier and give it the thickness I want it to be. Now we just need to be very careful when we're using a shell here, because in some places like this, you might get some squishing and stretching. So we're probably going to be left with, okay. See, the problem here is with the normals. Since most of this was extrapolated from from the surface, I might need to go ahead and reset the Xform. And hopefully this is gonna resolve that issue. If not, we're just simply going to go ahead and try to do this. Alright, so we're gonna have to do it manually. Fix up these errors. Everything else here is fine. So the only problem that I can see here is that these edges are way too close and really not topologically correct. So that's why we're getting that issue, but not a big deal. All we got to do is just move a few edges around so they're not so close to each other. So once the actual shell starts going through, it's not creating that issue for you guys. All right, I'm going to add a poly on top of this. All right. There we go. We no longer have, oops, yes we do, on this side. Okay. Well then, I guess we're gonna have to deal with the vertices one by one. So basic cleanup, just so we don't have them squish so much. Now, in my videos, I usually try to get stuff done in the most easy to follow way, but when it comes down to cleaning up geometry, it really is down to just getting into it, down and dirty. There's no easy way to explain geometry flows, as you simply need to get in and do it. Now, when I turbo smooth this, we're gonna get that result, which should be closer to what we need. So now the only thing that's left is for me to make sure that I can put a symmetry modifier on this. And before I do this, I'm gonna select this edge and this one, ring it, so I have everything selected, connect two segments pinched from each other, so this can help us retain that sharper edge. So once we put turbo smooth on it, as you can see now here we have that edge just like we have on our model. Now before I do the final thing, I want to add just one more ring in the middle, and this ring is going to give us one connect with one segment. Pull it inwards, so just scale it inwards like this. It's going to give us a bit of a weird look, and most notably this piece over here, we want this to be straight, so I'm just gonna, well, actually I'm gonna go ahead and make it planar on the X. That way it's not skewed. And now what I want to do is affect my pivot only, and I'm going to move the pivot from here to the edge. The reason for this is that the edge here is perfect for the symmetry modifier, and once I put it with the flip, I get the rest of this element. Now as I put a turbo smooth back, we get this to look in this form. Now, if you take a look at what we have here, you're going to notice that this side really doesn't look like this one, because this scroll over here should go a bit down. But the thing is that when you're modeling something like this, if you have both of these to be symmetrical, you're going to use this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do the whole thing separately, or just drop a new edit poly on top of this and move the vertices in place. But I'm not going to do that because it's going to just make this really long video even longer. So for now, I'm going to leave it like this. And the only thing that's actually left for me to do here on this scroll is if I want to add this naming convention here we have civis mundi sum. Now, if I were to add something like this, I would probably ask my client what kind of a font was used to make this. And then let's say I want to get this engraved inside. I would probably go and just use the text from the spline, click here, and what was the name? Actually, civis. So make something like civis. Let me get this upwards. With this civis, I would put on a bevel, give it some thickness like that. And since I have my level 2, I can control how much the beveling is going to be done, or how sharp the outline is going to be. Since I have the V here, if I put it any sharper, it's going to make a problem for me. So I'm just going to get this closer like this. And if I want to get this engraved, I would probably put it into position. Something like this. And actually, come to think of it, it would be better if you just put it inwards like this. And now you put it in, so it kind of folds into the actual scroll. You can select a scroll, go from the standard primitives, choose compound objects, and boolean out that shape. So if I choose pick operand B and select this text, it's going to leave me with a hole. Now, in this case, my letters are not exactly the same, the same exact font, so I'm not gonna even bother to try to do it. But if you want to get it this way, you can do it with the boolean, or you can simply use a bump map to get this indentation here. But it all kind of depends on the level of details that you want to achieve. Now, since we modeled this as well, I'm gonna add the placeholder material to it, make it black, and before I close down this video, I'm gonna unhide everything. And I want to get everything into position so that I can later on get everything rendered out. So for now, I'm gonna select all of these leaves for the flower and the center and make this into a group. So make it a group. Same thing with this piece, group. The book with the base, another group. I would usually, like I said, if this was a paid project, I would have a naming convention for this, but in this case, we can just go ahead and do it like this. Select everything we have here without the shield. Okay, this looks great. Group. And now we just move everything into position so it's kind of sitting on top of the shield. All right, now move this backwards. Move this back as well. All right. Okay, so with all of this done, I think we can finish up this part of the video here. And in the next and last part, I'm gonna go ahead and UV map everything and give it some nice materials and render out a final output.